Hiya guys and welcome. So you're joining me today in this tutorial. Basically I'm going to share with you my favourite items for sewing and sewing related. So first of all, what I'm going to start off with is a must if you're a keen sewer, and that is a good pair of scissors. So these are my 10-inch tailoring scissors. And don't ever be tempted to try and sharpen these on a kitchen knife sharpener. I bought a new knife sharpener and I thought I was being clever. Tried sharpening these and it totally knackered them up. They would not cut at all then. I ended up taking them to a cobbler's, and when he went to cut fabric, he went, "You've done a right job of these." I went, "I know I have," and I could have cried at the time when I did them, but he's brought them back to life for me. These again, not sure what size they are, because you measure your scissors from tip to the end, so they're 7.5 inch then. I use these for doing my snips, cutting my cottons off if I've got to snip, you know, like where there's a notch, but these are my main cutting scissors. And also, if not so much when you've been sewing years, because you might not, you're probably in the habit that you're in with when it comes to cutting, but try and get used to holding your scissors between your fingers like that and just using your thumb. Even if you're using little snippers, hold them the same way, because you can actually sew at the same time while you're holding your scissors. And if you're sewing in bulk, it's just so much quicker than putting your hands at your fingers inside the you know, the holders all the time. So that is definitely my number one. Two, you need your marking to do your marking, whether it be a pen, tailor's chalk, so I've got it in white, black, pink, and I've even got, that is soap. So on a dark piece of fabric you can use soap to do your marking. And I tell you what would be good, the white Dove bar or even the pink bar, you would get your colour for your marking. Another item that you shouldn't be without, a unpicker. A unpicker or seam ripper. It's not very often I use this for seam ripping, but I do use it for unpicking. And these, again, priceless. Now, especially if you've got an overlocker, if you've not got a large pair of tweezers, treat yourself to a pair, because these are fantastic. Because you've got a long handle, it's great for just holding, getting into where you need to thread on your loopers, your hooks and that, and it's just great. And this is also great for when you're cleaning out your machine, to get in there and get your fluff. Brilliant. Long pair of tweezers. Now, this is a magnet, and I think I have probably used this 3 or 4 times when my pins have got knocked over or my clips. And literally these, you just show you, tub of clips, put them in, and they're just fantastic. So instead of you being down there for minutes picking them all up, literally run that over your area that the pins have, or the clips are spilt, and there you go. And then you just put them straight back in. So that's a hand-held magnet, a sewing gauge. And you've got this little lever that goes up and down, and I am always using this. If I'm turning a pair of trousers up, a pair of curtains up, I'll simply, so like if it's a pair of trousers and you're doing an inch turn up, you simply set your marker to the inch, and then where your fabric is, let's say that this is the bottom of your trousers, you'd simply put that to the end of your trousers and then mark at the end of the marker there, so you've got your inch marked all the way across. Or if you're just turning them up, turn it up using that, so you've got your inch, and then you'd pin it and then go and sew it. Fabulous. These are a must. Pins. I hate working with pins with a passion, because I'm always sticking them in myself. And if they're blunt and you're putting them in something, it can pull your fabric. So if you've got any blunt ones, just put them straight in bin. Don't even waste your time using them for anything else. They're not worth it. Just put them in bin, and when you get low, buy some more. Probably 3 years ago, when I my girls had asked me what I wanted for Mother's Day, and I said, can you get me some of these clips? I'd seen somebody on YouTube using them, and I thought, they look great. And now I've got 2 of these tubs, because there are times, depending what I'm doing, that I will go through 2 tubs of these. And they're just fantastic. So you'd use these instead of pins. So what I've just talked about, where you're doing an inch turn up on your trousers, clip it. Same again when you're constructing an item of clothing. If you don't use pins, clip it. And it's just so much easier than being pinned with a pin. When I'm doing alterations on people, like where they need to have items of clothing taken in, what I will do is I will ask them to try it on inside out, and then I will pin it with these type of pins, safety pins. They're all different sizes, and I would go for probably something that size or the next size up. I wouldn't go for the large unless it was a hem, because then what I'd do is I'd pin it, and then I'd say, right, let's turn it the right way, try it on again, see how the fit is. And once it's a perfect fit, so this is a safe way of doing that, getting them to try it on. They're not going to pin themselves anyway when they're trying it back on the correct way. So these I use a lot for doing alterations on people. Let's talk tape measures, measure sticks and French rulers. Again, one year my husband said to me, what do you want for Christmas? And I said, you know, there's nothing I need, so do you want to get me some sewing related items? So he got me a self-healing mat and a rotary cutter. Now, I haven't got them out because, to be honest with you, the mat I do get out from time to time, but the rotary cutter, I don't rate it. I will get it out from time to time, like if I'm doing a petticoat, I might get it out to cut the net. But with fabric, I found that unless you're really putting some effort into pressing on it, I didn't find it brilliant at cutting. It does come out from time to time, but as a rule, I don't rate it, and that's why it's not here for me to show you. But he did buy me one of these, which I'd asked for, because again, when I'm doing, say, a pair of trousers, and if I'm making them wider or whatever, I will put that down the side of the pattern, and it might be an item of clothing, because I take a lot of patterns me off clothes that I've already got, and literally I will lay that at the side, and I will literally just draw down that with my tailor's chalk, and it's brilliant. So if you've not got one of these, it's another great item to have. My French rulers, I have got more than this, but basically they all do the same job. I don't know if you can see this with the light, but if you can see there, that's one curve. So you've got the curve comes down, and then this is a different type of curve. And when my daughter's got me the pins for Mother's Day, they got me the French seam set, and I think there was something like there might have been about 6 different pieces. There's like a triangle one with holes in. There's a small curve one, which you can use for buttonholes because it's got like different size holes in it. But these two I use a lot. And it's basically when you're going around a neck, when you're going around an arm, bust area, anywhere that there's a curve on a pattern, these, rather than drawing around the pattern, it's easier to lay these over the pattern, and then you can just literally, it's a lot easier to draw on because you're using it as a ruler. So you're putting your tailor's short right up to the ruler and then going down. So these, if you've not got them, great. I love these and I use them a lot. When taking patterns off a pattern, because I've got 2 Gertie books for starters with patterns in, and I do not want to cut them patterns up. And another reason with normal patterns is I take a smaller pattern off for my daughters, and I'm a lot bigger than what they are. So if I'm going to need 2 different sizes off a pattern, I will use greaseproof paper. It's simple greaseproof paper that you pick up in a supermarket. Now, sometimes, especially for me, I will need to sort of put 2 pieces together because that's obviously not going to be thick enough. And sometimes you can't sellotape this because the sellotape doesn't stick to it, but I simply just use a stapler. staple my way down it. So I'll sort of roll it up so I can get the stapler in and then keep unrolling it and staple it down so I've got the wider piece so I can take the pattern off for me. Now, if I'm going to be doing, taking a pattern off an item of clothing, that's a different thing because it's not paper to paper. And when you're taking the pattern off a pattern, a paper pattern, the paper needs to be see-through so you can see the markings underneath on top, and that's where your greaseproof paper comes in. But if you're taking a pattern off an item of clothing, no matter what it is, this is your brown craft paper. It's your brown paper that you would send a parcel in. This, I think there is 5 metres on it, and I got it from Home Bargains, and I'm sure I only paid 59p for it, and I bought 3 rolls. And what I would simply do is I would lay this on my table and lay the item of clothing on top and then draw around it to get my pattern, because the clothing's on top, it doesn't need to be see-through. So that is two great things that you should have in if you're going to take patterns off either a pattern or an item of clothing that you're going to remake. Another thing that is great, weights. These are some that I made myself, and they're just little triangles, and they're filled with rice. So if we're cutting patterns out, and when I say we, I'm talking about me and my daughter, or me if I'm on my own. And if I don't want to get my pins out, because it's not very often I will pin a pattern. Basically, I will get these and I will basically chuck them all over the pattern piece to weigh it down and then cut it out. This is a jar. I actually picked that jar up in a charity shop. I think I paid £1.50 for it. And literally, great thing to have. And like I said, these you can make yourself. If you've got some scrap material, you could do all different colours. I think the pieces was something like, what, 5 inch by 7 or 4 by 6, something like that. But if you on YouTube and you type in how to make pattern weights, because I saw somebody doing these on YouTube, and that's where I got the idea from. Now, as well as tape measures, it goes without saying that you need a normal tape measure when you're doing certain jobs. So I've showed you all, well, most of the measuring items that I really rate. So what I'm going to go to now then is not so much a sewing related item, but it's looking after your machine. And basically it's 3 items. You've obviously got your screwdriver that comes with your machine, but again, it's your long tweezers for getting into your fluff and dirt. It's your brush for brushing the fluff and the dirt out of your machine, underneath, on top, around it. And then it's your oil. These 3 items are going to keep your machine running great. And let me tell you, once you have oiled your machine and cleaned it, the first time or first couple of times after you've done that, you will notice how smooth your machine runs. It really does make a difference. What was I going to compare it to? It's like, so like if you do a workout and 5 minutes in, you're getting thirsty. What do you want? You want a drink of water. Once your machine has been running for so long, and it all depends how often you use it. I don't use mine every day. Some days I will go on it and I will use it for hours. Some days I don't use it at all. As a rule, rough and ready, I will oil my machines once every 3 months. Now, I use this as a guideline because when I used to work in the sewing factory and then machines were running from 9 o'clock up till 4:30, 4:45, 5 days a week, we used to oil them once a week at the end of the day on Fridays. So if that gives you an idea of how often. And when you do oil your machines, do not flood it with oil, because too much is as bad as not enough. All you need is, with this, a couple of drops. Now, if you've got a manual, your manual should tell you where to oil it. If not, when you see, there'll be holes on top of your machine. Some are screw holes, but the ones that not, just put a tiny bit of oil in them. And I have got a video, 2 videos actually, on maintaining two types of machines, so you could always check those out to see where on those that I oil it. But basically, when you're lifting your machine, if you turn your handle and you see the moving parts, any moving parts with one's joining to another, that wants a bit of oiling, so it's kept lubricated, so it runs smooth for you. So these, again, I am adding into my, what I would highly recommend is basically looking after your machine, because it will last you lots longer. It'll be out of the repair shops. And once you've done it once or twice, you'll just get into habit of doing it. It does make your life a good bit easier with basically all these products that I've showed you. And basically all these are my go-to. So that's my little show and tell for you with me sewing related items. I hope I've showed you something new today that you can go out and treat yourself to, because like I say, all these items I use a lot and I wouldn't be without now. So thank you for watching, guys. Take care and see you soon. Bye for now.